We don't want to lose money. We want to continue to be better people throughout it all, though, because the money can only take us so far. You know, you could be the best trader, you could have the biggest investments, really make a lot of money, but if you're not really growing as a person and your ideology, and, you know, for me, like, I believe in God, believe in Jesus, like, that keeps me going. You know, some of you guys might feel the same as I do. Like, the money's never going to make us. It'll just make our life better, but there needs to even be something more fulfilling us in order to really, you know, give us that fulfillment out of life. Benny's got kids. You know, I know that's something that fulfills him, you know. Tony's got kids. You know, one day I want kids. That's going to fulfill me in a whole nother way. But it's got to be beyond the money, though, man. Like, it can't just be all about making money and let me just cut this person and do this to get the money. Them people don't last.
I done started from the small grind, turned it up major. I remember all the hard times, that's what made me greater. Done departed from the haters, got no time, see you later. Always finish what I started, that's what I call major. No, I'm major.
Episode 20, Let's Save Together. I am here solo dolo today as our good friend Tony is sick. Prayers go out to Tony, man. So he came out Monday, trooped it out with us, but, you know, I'm going to still handle business. I'm not going to shut up because I got a lot to talk about today. We're going to go into CONY. We're going to go into MSTY, the differences of them. We're also going to go into YieldMax's new prospectus that they put out for CONY, which they talked about a new strategy that they're going to put out or, you know, implement for CONY. And then it's been a little minute since we talked about the invest ethics, so I'm going to really just revisit them with you guys and just kind of break them down and how they've been helping me trade not only futures but just my long-term investments. So if you're watching, make sure you subscribe, show us some love. You know, we've been building the page up, putting out content. You know, all our YieldMaxers, anyone that's just looking to long-term invest, anyone that's looking to get into investing. There's been a lot of people like that lately just answering questions. So, you know, this is not financial advice. We don't ever give financial advice. This is all just our opinions of what we think. Are we the most accomplished traders, most accomplished investors? No, we're not. But we do have some insight, you know, from our years and, you know, Tony's years of college, which I've absorbed a lot throughout the years. So, you know, we're here for anybody on their different path. So let's go into the YieldMax prospectus because this was pretty interesting. So if you guys aren't familiar, you know, YieldMax does a covered call strategy. Basically, they're owning the stock and then they're implementing an option strategy. But now they've changed it to a credit call spread. So I'm going to read directly from their prospectus. So that way you guys can see what I found. And this is essentially a summary of just some of the topics that were in it because they're very long. So the credit call spread, instead of selling a standard call option, the ETF writes a credit call spread when the sub-advisor Zega Financial believes it could generate a better return. This involves selling one call option and buying another with a higher strike price, which is the definition of the call credit spread. It's really, you know, the option strategy where like one option is written and, you know, the lower premium option is bought on the same underlying security. That's Investopedia right there. And, you know, this is basically going to allow them to, you know, reduce their risk in CONY because when, you know, you're owning the stock, you know, you're exposed to it a lot more in the, you know, the cover call strategy. Let's see what else they got. I mean, basically the rest of it just said that the fund's portfolios primarily consist of U.S. Treasury securities used to collateralize the options contracts, which we know that's what they hold in there. You can see that directly on Robinhood. Anything that I'm saying, you know, we can all verify it because it's right there. And whether you use Robinhood or not, I'm sure most of these other brokerages just show their holdings just like an ETF or any other ETF they would. To me, you know, I realized, you know, them doing this is probably because CONY is just so down. It's probably one of the worst performing ETFs in YieldMax right now. I mean, let's look at it. The 5-day, it's down 11.5%. The 1 month, it's down 21%. The 6 month, it's down 56%. And year to date, it's down 54%. That's not that good. this is also a reason why I really chose MSTY over CONY, because, I'm heavy in MBDY, as you guys know, and I wanted to diversify. I was looking at a bunch of the other funds, and I'm like, man, it would be nice to get into crypto, considering I'm not really invested in Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything, but, making some steady income on crypto would be pretty cool. So I looked at CONY, I looked at MSTY, and I'm like, well, CONY has its reasons why I didn't, and then MSTY has its reasons, and, I got them listed here. Basically, CONY is primarily, Coinbase, because CONY is just the ETF for Coinbase, and then MSTY is the ETF of YieldMax for Microstrategy. Both of the companies are really different. You would think, well, yeah, they're both invested in Bitcoin, they're both invested in crypto. That's not true. Coinbase is a crypto company. Microstrategy is a software business, and they have Bitcoin holdings. So Coinbase's revenue is directly tied to crypto trading. MicroStrategies comes from software and sales. And then, their Bitcoin holdings affect the balance sheets. I got these both, from their websites. I mean, basically what that's saying is Coinbase is tied to every single cryptocurrency. So, whatever ones are all out there, I don't know about all the altcoins and every single name of each, but you got to figure that's probably why CONY is so down. Let's look at MSTY. Let's look at MSTY's prices. We just went over CONY's. Let's go over MSTY's. 5-day, down 4.5%. 1 month, down 8.5%. 6 month, down 41%. They're kind of even, maybe a 15% difference on the 6 month. Year to date, though, MSTY's only down 1%. So throughout all this volatility in the crypto market and with Bitcoin, MSTY is still holding strong from where it was at earlier this year, because the fund's still fairly new. CONY's a lot older than that. And, it just goes to show, CONY is exposed to a lot of the broader crypto market. MicroStrategy is really only exposed to Bitcoin. So when crypto is taking a dive everywhere, CONY's going to be more exposed to that. That's really one of the reasons when I looked at it, I'm like, man, I'm going with MSTY, especially since they have, 1% of Bitcoin holdings. Is like a no-brainer. I just wanted to read it off verbatim, so that way you guys could really understand, not just from me, but this is directly from, Yahoo Finance. This is what they do. So sometimes it's cool to hear opinions. We love to give you guys facts, because at the end of the day, we're reporting just like CNBC would, or anybody else would here on this podcast. We're just telling you guys information you can find, and we're bundling it down in 30 minutes so that you can make educated decisions and make decisions based on your own beliefs, it's basically like everything I found. It's a whole, Coinbase is like a whole bet on the crypto market. So if you want to invest in CONY, that's up to you. But me, I'm going to stay in MSTY. I've still been buying it. It's still been getting hit. Because things are kind of shaking up. And, speaking on making decisions on our own beliefs, I thought today would be a really good time to really go into the invest ethics, because we did the first couple episodes with them, and, a lot has changed since then. Even just reflecting on myself, sitting here, man, when we sat here 2 months ago, we were playing the earnings heavy. I didn't even want anything to do with futures, zero, nothing. Not because I wasn't interested, just, there's a lot going on in my life and just trying to even get this up and started. So futures just seemed like something else to add on to have to learn. And as we've been going through here, I'm like, man, I think it was about a month and a half, I started learning futures, and not really been doing so much of the options, but I've still been applying a lot of the lessons that I learned from doing options into futures. And I really want to just go into the invest ethics for people that are just tuning in, for people maybe that tuned in the beginning and, heard about it, but we didn't go too much in depth. I'm going to really make this episode just straight from the heart, the invest ethics, what we came up with, why we did it, where we're at now with it, at least from my perspective, where I'm at now with it, and how these can kind of help you guys invest along your journey. So rule number 1 is build long-term positions and never sell out to do options. This was a problem of ours. We would build long-term positions, have nice holdings, and what would we do? We would sell it out to do options. So now, not only did we potentially lose or eventually lose really on the options, because we might have won one and doubled it down, but then we lost out of our long-term holding. So we kind of got hit with a double whammy. So we just realized, hey, once we buy a long-term position, like, of course, after you do the research, after you look at the company's financials, after you go on and see about the company's future, where you think they're going to go, hold on to that company. Like, don't sell it, I mean, sell it for a profit, maybe down the line, or maybe you made 25% and you have a lot of money in there and you want to trim it off, cool, but if you're selling out long-term positions to do options, or if you're selling out, to go drink or go out and party, or to go buy lavish things that you don't need, it might feel good now, but you're really just hurting yourself in the long run. You don't really want to be selling out of anything long term. So when you buy something long term, stick with it, stay in there, and don't sell out to do options. Don't just sell out for, quick thrills or things that you don't need. Like, really hold on to them and become an investor. That's what we all want to do at the end of the day. And that leads me to number 2. Income should be invested first and bills paid second. Budget accordingly. With this one, everybody's income is going to be different. Benny here behind the camera, he does videography. That's his job, I do futures trading. Now I've been making money off of that. And, rather than the options, that's kind of my job. And, some of you guys might do Uber Eats. Some of you guys might go around and, work at a grocery store, whatever it is. Your income, wherever you make $500 a week, maybe your rent's $500 a month, probably more than that now. Maybe if you share a room, whatever, you should be realizing that, okay, my check is right around this much every month. Maybe I make $3,000 a month, let's say, right? For, all intents and purposes, $3,000. My rent's $1,000, plus all my bills, plus everything I got to eat. I buy my food. Maybe you're left with $1,000 left over, give or take. Maybe $750 we'll call it. Some of you guys like to eat a lot. $750. So you should be putting away at least, a quarter of that, whether in a Roth IRA or in anything. Just start the habit of it. You might be like, man, like, I'm not really like making a lot, but if you build the habit when you have small money. When I was working at a grocery store, I wasn't investing anything. When I threw tons of parties and events, I wasn't investing anything. Once I kind of got out of all that, and I realized after the pandemic, and, I would do like food deliveries and stuff like that. Like, I started putting a little bit away, and then I would do odds and ends jobs. And that's kind of how I was really able to build up to start doing options. I personally would tell you guys to invest the money I get first and then worry about my bills second. That's what that rule really is. That's what we do, because we realize how much money we're going to make every month. And we're like, okay, I can just invest first and I'll pay my bills on the back end. You have to really be experienced with budgeting or knowing like what type of money you're going to make to do that. Not a lot of people can do that. That's why I gave the first explanation how I did about knowing what you got to pay. Put your money for your bills first, but make sure you're investing too first. So it's kind of tricky there. It sounds like contradictory, but it's really not. Because if you're getting $3,000 a month, then you can kind of, tuck all your bills away, and you can invest first, as you get your income. So kind of a little here nor there. Us personally, we're going to dump our income first, and we know we're paying our bills on the back end. But some of you guys might not be that fortunate to do that. So what we would say is make sure your bills are tucked away. You got the money for it, you're tucking it away, but also make sure you're investing too. And that leads me to number 3 now, which is curb your enthusiasm on green days and control your emotions on red days. This is probably the biggest rule we got, man, because it's all high and dandy, when things are good, the market's ripping up. Like, look at the beginning of this summer. Bunch of green days. Market was erupting in value. I mean, NVDL, which was NVIDIA 2 times, that was up close to $90. Yeah, it was like $88. Then we had TSLL was at like $13, $14, close to $15, $16 really at one point. And just the whole market was really up. So you would have thought it would have kept going up. I got burned by that myself. You know, I thought Nvidia was going to keep ripping up. Yeah. I'm also kind of new to investing too. I mean, really only 3 years in. So I'm still learning about the cycles of the market. And, you know, then controlling our emotions on the red days was really a big one these past 2 months, really a month and a half. I mean, the beginning of August, major sell-off, which we went into. Last week was a major sell-off. Panic and selling when you are in them positions, that's going to really make you lose a lot of money. Now me, there's people like Big T, Steel that are in our Discord group. We're using margin for YieldMax products. So, you know, our red days kind of, we have to like teeter-totter. You know, like I said, I was just in a margin call. I'm over, 6-7 grand in it now. Still got some buffer room, which is good. I could sell out an Nvidia contract, just kind of controlling my emotions and realizing, hey, like, am I comfortable to lose this? Like, it all goes back to realizing like what you're investing in. Like, I still got my long-term positions and I'm not selling them out, but you also got to kind of control your emotions when things are not going good. You got to control your account. It's risk tolerance, The green days are always going to feel better than the red days, but the red days should have you knowing that there's going to be green days ahead. These are our opportunities to buy. If you're buying on the green days and you ain't buying on the red days, there's something wrong with your investing psychology. You think it's going to keep going up when it's green, but then you think it's going to keep going down when it's red. You got to switch that, and it takes losing a lot of money to learn lessons. It's real unfortunate. That's just how this game is. You hear some of the biggest traders that they've went through and they've lost a lot of money, and now you see where they're at. Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, they've invested in crappy companies too. So even some of the biggest investors we know have not done good, This leads me to 4, which is option short-term trade 70-30 in either direction. It's crazy thinking about this because we really haven't been trading earnings like we used to. But this basically is saying that 70-30, if you're going to bet if to go up, bet 30% to go down. Just cover yourself. It's like risk tolerance of life. Yeah, I could have made more because I was right, but guess what? I protected myself. It all goes back to life too. You don't want to be all in on something and not have a plan B. Sometimes you got to go all out, though, for your plans. With options, we're fortunate enough that we don't have to do all that, So that's a whole nother topic about the 70-30. That's just basically that rule. And then we got number 5, don't bet on options what you aren't comfortable losing. What I was just talking about, like, you shouldn't be in a position if you're not comfortable losing it all. Don't invest if you're not comfortable losing it all. Are we going to lose it all? If you put all your money in Tesla, are you going to lose every single dollar? 99% no. In Apple, no. Like, you're not going to lose all of your money in a stock. I remember hearing like older people say that all the time. Like, I don't know, that could go to zero. That was one of the things that stopped me from investing. Like, yeah, I guess it could go to zero. Like, these things aren't going to zero. Come on, man. Now that I know what I know, like, these aren't going to zero. Will you lose money? You could if you sell it out. But if you're always buying into it, you're controlling your emotions on the red days, and you're good. And you know there's going to be greater days because you did your research. You know what the company's about. You know where they're going, and you have an expressed belief about where you think it's going to go. But you also should be comfortable losing it all. Don't put up what you're not comfortable losing, especially in YieldMax, because my positions are down 15%, 25% respectively, and MVDY and MSTY more. But they're here to generate income. They're not necessarily going to growth. I'm comfortable at all going to zero. The whole 6 figures I got in there could hit a tank. I don't care. I'm here to ride. It's plan A, and that's it, Like I said with the 70-30 rule, sometimes we can have plan Bs, but when we got goals, you got to just like go full-fledged at it and not have a plan B. So you guys have been hearing me talk now. It's kind of, I switch between different roles of, thinking one way, then thinking this way, and then I try to put it together and I try to implement both ways. So sometimes it sounds like I'm going this way or that way, but that's just how my brain is, honestly. It's, you even hear I'm talking, somebody told me I talked like Ben Shapiro one time, which is like a commentator. He talks mad fast, but sometimes we like I put myself in different places, and different mindsets. I might think a certain way, but I'm like, let me completely take myself out of it and look at how somebody would look at it another way. And then let me look how somebody would look at it the whole different way, even more than how I'm looking at it. And just trying to mix between them and, make decisions. So, and that kind of leads me to number 6, which is look at every lesson as a blessing. You're going to make bad decisions in life, bad investments. TSLL was a bad one for me. I had to get out to save myself from a margin call after the first sell-off in August. And I just realized, man, I shouldn't be that leveraged in XX leveraged stocks. I shouldn't have like a big amount of money in there if I'm not comfortable losing it all. And at that time I wasn't comfortable losing it all, so I got out. Had to get out really, but it's a lesson to be like, okay, I know now when I see a double leveraged stock go up and I'm in there, I'm going to take out, I'm going to sell out. That's the lesson, in it. Some of the other lessons could be, even trading with futures, what I've been realizing, I'm like, dang, like I could have held every time I want to sell it, a contract at like, maybe make 15 points, 20 points. Every time I know that, and I'm like, well, I just want the 20 points. What does it do? It sells at the 20, and it immediately goes up another 10 points. I'm like, dang. But at first I was like that, and then I just realized, you know what? I'm cool with where I'm at. I'm cool with what I got. I rang the register, and I got my profit, and, that's it. There's nothing to be greedy about. Looking at every lesson as a blessing can help us in life of just realizing, hey, you know what? This is what I did, but this is not what I'm going to continue to do. People let their decisions continuously go down just because they made one bad one. We're not going to be perfect. We got to take everything in stride. Not just realizing, hey, even though it didn't go how I wanted it to go, what better decision am I going to actually make? Like, I got to let myself feel it so that it's a blessing. Can't just overlook the things that we do bad. So, look at everything that we do. Even the good things are lessons. You can always improve on those too. So, and speaking of futures, number 7 is look at the futures market to determine the market sentiment. You can literally go on Google, type in, futures, CNN futures, CNBC futures outlook, future sentiment, and that'll just tell you where the market is anticipating on going before it opens. This can help us out if we're just trying to see the direction of the market for the day. Maybe we want to enter into some positions, or maybe we're just trying to exit out and we want to see if it's going to go up. So always look at the futures to kind of keep ourselves in the know too of where the market's even going in general, because a lot of our favorite stocks are in some of these big indexes, the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell 2000. Those are more of the smaller stocks, but a lot of stocks are in these, and us looking at the futures can determine where we think things are going to go. Number 8, think before you speak and double check all your information. This happened with us in Alibaba. I thought the earnings were one day, it was on NASDAQ.com, and then they changed it up. Should I have did further research? I definitely should have. I should have double checked, but it was on NASDAQ.com. Then it got switched up, and Tony informed me that they change it up sometimes, like even days before. So whenever we think of something like, hey, I'm not just going on Reddit and reading something and then taking that as the fact. I'm not just going online, maybe on CNBC. Granted, that's a pretty good place to get your facts from. Those guys are double checking everything. But even still, you can go on some other places and cross-reference, and you can even go, there's plenty of places to go. I was going to start naming websites. There's plenty of places you can go to double check everything and not just go off don't just go off an Instagram post. Like, hey, you see a page like Wealth or Big Time pages on there and they post something, and then they got a link. Hey, let's check the link out. Hey, you know what? Let me type in on Google exactly what they said. Let me check it for myself. Ultimately, we're going off of other people's opinions. We just want to make sure the opinions we're going off of are the right ones. We all don't know everything in our brain. I'm not going to know everything that's going on. So just make sure we're double checking everything and we're not just going off of people's word, We're making decisions based on our own beliefs. Number 9, we don't just want to do things because other people are doing them. This could be a whole episode itself, honestly. Going in and making investments just because Warren Buffett does it. Going in and making investments, just because Bill Ackman does it. While those are good things, we should want to be able to go and make decisions and have investments. Do anything because we want to do it. We enjoy doing it. We love what we're investing in. Yeah, investing in things just to make money is cool because, of course, that's what we're here to do. If we're putting our money in the stock market and options, like, we want to make money. Options is a little different. Long-term holding, we should love what we're investing in. We should have researched the company enough to know, like, hey, this is a good investment. I still have a little holding in Chipotle. I've trimmed it down, but I still look, even with the CEO leaving, it's still a solid company for the future. They're still going to grow. They're still the world's largest restaurant, owned solely by the company. They're only starting to expand into other countries, and their footprint is big in America, and it only takes them 2 years to really make money back on every store, which is really solid from their initial investment. Those are just some facts because I love Chipotle. I did my research. I looked it up, went across various ways, and now, these are my own beliefs. Are they 100% beliefs? Well, you could fact check me and see, you could see for yourself. That's what I believe. That's what I found out about the company. They are the world's largest restaurant owned solely by the company. So we really just want to be able to make decisions on things we enjoy or things that, we're looking up and, like, these are our beliefs, Who wants to invest in a company and, like, you really don't know nothing about it? If you want to invest in NVIDIA just because you see, all these people doing it, maybe you should look up a little bit about who they are, what they do, what type of products they have. Apple too, hey, maybe you might know they have iPhones and AirPods, but did you know that they have, like, a whole cloud service and they make money that way? Like, there's little bits of facts of these companies that you might not know that before you invest in, you should really do your research. And these invest ethics, even just looking at them, it's just crazy because a couple of them, like, the options ones, like, still kind of apply, but a lot of these are, like, still strong on, how we really trade every day. Buying courses from, like, the Wall Street Academy, David Green, Peter Tushman, buying a course from Peter Whelan, Only Prop Firms. I looked at that information. I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, this is solid stuff. Let me implement it myself. Okay. Like, let me see how it works. Okay. Let me go on Google. Let me check out some of the things they were saying. So ultimately, yeah, we could hear it from somebody else, but make sure we believe it. So what does that mean, right? You could read something online or read a course from somebody and then you do it just because you heard them do it. Or you could really believe it yourself. Because when you're just going through the motion, okay, well, this is how they made money, so let me just do the same thing. And, I hope it goes. Like, believing in the idea yourself requires most of the time doing your own research on it, implementing the strategy in your own way. So that way you have the belief of it. Too many people are just like sheeps. Like, they're just following around looking for the next big thing. And then by the time, you already, like, are following all them, it probably is too late, Sometimes it's not too late, though, but most of the time it is. Like, we want to just be able to do things and you have the full utmost confidence when you're doing it. We don't want to lose money. We want to continue to be better people throughout it all, though, because the money can only take us so far. You could be the best trader. You could have the biggest investments, really make a lot of money, but if you're not really growing as a person and your ideology and, for me, like, I believe in God, believe in Jesus, like, that keeps me going. Some of you guys might feel the same as I do. Like, the money's never going to make us. It'll just make our life better, but there needs to even be something more fulfilling us in order to really, give us that fulfillment out of life. Benny's got kids. I know that's something that fulfills him, Tony's got kids. One day I want kids. That's going to fulfill me in a whole nother way. But it's got to be beyond the money, though, man. Like, it can't just be all about making money and let me just cut this person and do this to get the money. Then people don't last. You see people get tons of success, too. Even, You know, people like Diddy, look at that guy, you know. Am I saying he's guilty? No. Am I saying he's not guilty? No. Because they didn't determine that, but people determined he was guilty. Look at him, you know, and he probably didn't do good things in his life, you know. And that's what happens when you worry about money all the time. Things like that could potentially happen to you. All you did was worry about getting every buck and just doing whatever you could. So these are the invest ethics, man. These are things that we put into play. Holding it down, solo dolo, handling business. Shout out YieldMax. You can buy an official hat. I think it's on their Printify, on their official website. And yeah, man, we're just holding it down as always. Another day out here in Chinatown, Philadelphia. That's it. We're going to be back for episode 21 real soon. Next week. Peace.